Okay, yeah, all you wannabe archaeologists come over here before we go. I just want to show you the map when it's still light. Sheila, get your ass over here. It's called like the future of religion or something. And I knew about the liver fluke.
You guys are going to notice many black ones.
Keep on going. See, it's an extra. Yeah, but here you see these ants. These ants. Now, once these ants become infected with that parasite, they don't live down there. What do? They move up here, you see? Because the sheep and goats are not going to be eating these things down here. But this is the kind of stuff here which the sheep and goats would eat. Now, once they become infected by the parasite, they leave that environment and just move a few centimeters up here at the top. Look, the cave is right over here.
Wait. What's that here?
Table's gone, Tabor.
Huh? Oh, I said, you think of the first person that brought me that picture? I said, they're animal bones. It was a hyena den right over here.
Oh. Anyway, we all here, all my Texans here. Okay, this is cave number 3. And you meet some of the nuttiest people you ever met. People always call me midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Why? Because they think in the United States it's sort of the same time it is in Texas. Well, I got a phone call once around midnight, guy from Texas. And he says, wait a while. No, the guy didn't call me up. The guy came to the Rockefeller Museum. And he wanted to speak to people. And the moment we get these nutty people who had a dream and a vision, they usually sort of say, go speak to Zias, because I like to speak to these people. Hey, you know.
He's got a file.
Anyway, this guy says, look, he had tattoos. In fact, the guy had tattoos all over his arm. He had this accent. I said, where were you born? He was born in Hungary. He says, look, he said, I'm going to tell you a story. He said, I watched a documentary on the Dead Sea Scrolls, one of God knows how many. He says, and that night I had a vision. He said, I saw this cave. He said, that's where they found the copper scroll. He said, in that vision, he said, what I realized, that there's another hole here, which is next to it. He says, in this vision, a voice told me that they forgot to look here. And he said, I've come all the way from Texas. The guy works in aerospace, by the way. He said, I come from all the way to Texas. He says, and I want to go in there. He said, I want to find it. I said, well, I don't even know where Cave 3 is. I called up, so he showed me the photograph, and I saw there was from Bar, and it was in the name, Radovan. It was a friend of mine. So I called up Radovan. I said, you know where this is? He said, you know how many times I photographed all these caves? He said, I don't know where they're at. All the Dead Sea Scroll scholars are working down the hall. I went down there and said, does anybody know? No one had never been to, here are the world's best Dead Sea Scroll scholars. None of them knew where it was. So I said, let me think about it. So I called up a few people that night, and they said, you know what? They said, this was excavated, I think, by the Tel Aviv University or someone back in the 1970s or 80s. So my idea was, if you can get high enough up, you can see all that back dirt. So the question is, look for the thing is, on the map, even on the map, you couldn't tell where it was. You could only tell the body, and I had the the coordinates. So I said, wait a minute, let me think. If I can get high enough up, if I can get a bird's eye view, and if I can see where the back dirt is, perhaps I can find the cave. So I told the guy, this is what's going to cost you. I can't guarantee you. It's a crapshoot. You pay whether I find it or not, but I will try my best to find it. Anyway, Friday rolled around and got my car, I got my climbing stuff, got down here. Guy was smoking all the way. I figured this guy's going to climb up this cave. I said, look, I said, you sit in the car. I said, and then I will go up. If I can find it, I'll shout. You know, the guy said it's a good deal. I was lucky. On the first one, there was a cable here. There was a cable here.
Yeah.
And on the first try, I came up here because I had the photograph, and I said, wow, here's cave number 3, and here's this hole this guy was talking about. Well, matter of fact, this thing had not fallen down. Okay, this thing was up, and the hole was about this big. I figured, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna put my hand in there. That would be a snake in there. There's some snakes here which put you away in a minute, or a scorpion, or God knows what. So I peeked in there. I threw a stone in there, and I said, it's only about this deep. So I put my hand in there, and sure enough, it went in about that far. That's it. The hole's about this big. So what do? Here's this guy, came here from Texas. This guy had been obsessing about this thing for several years.
Had he seen a picture to know the hole there, or?
The thing is that he had the picture of Cave 3,
okay.
and the thing is he saw the documentary, then he went to the literature, and then he saw the Cave 3
And then
again,
he saw that.
and then he saw this
That's
hole,
it.
and then he had this vision that there's something there. So what do? I mean, there's nothing there. Do you call this guy? My fear is I would tell the guy he's going to climb up here. He's not going to jump off, the side of the mountain. I said, you know what? I'll do it. So I told the guy, he came up here. He looks at the photograph. He says, yeah, that's it. I didn't tell him I put my hand in there. He said, there it is, buddy. Goes in there and puts his hand, turns around, got this sort of funny look on his face when he realized the thing when he went back that far. And I didn't know what to say.
Say someone took it.
And the guy says, you know what? He said, at least I know. He said, I've been obsessed with this thing for years. He said, now at least I know that there's nothing there. It was just simply, wishful thinking. We walked back down, got in the car. I said, look, he wanted me to spend a couple of days with him. I said, look, you got 3 more days here. I said, why don't you go up to the Sea of Galilee, you see where Jesus walked on the water, all this and that. You know what the guy says? He says, look, I came here for one thing and one thing only. I wanted to find those things in the cave. He said, I see they're not there.
I'm going home.
He says, I'm going home. I said, okay, fine. I thought that's the end of the story. What happens? Well, the thing is, what did the guy do? The guy had one of these little cheap-ass cameras. He put the camera in here upside down, and he's just pressing that button, and that camera's just going wild. Those flashes are going off, So the guy, I thought, that's the end of it. 2 months later, 3 months later, what? I get a phone call, 1 o'clock in the morning. Who is it? It's this guy from Texas. He said, hey, you remember me? I said, yeah, unfortunately, I remember you. And I said, what can I do for you? He said, look, I developed these photographs, and he says there's these incredible, incredible things hidden here. He says, you can't see them from the outside. He said, believe me. He says, we got glass, we got pottery, we got diamonds, we got gold. He said, it's incredible. It's a treasure hoard. He said, that's the reason that they put it right next to Cave 3, It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, look, buddy, I said, FedEx the stuff to me. I'll take a look at it, and I'll tell you what it is, Sure enough, within 48 hours, I get this photograph from FedEx, which is blown up. I swear to God, there's nothing there. It's like this, I mean, what you see outside is like basically what you see inside.
He's imagining.
And here's a key, from 1 to 20. This is a ring. This is a diamond. This is a bracelet. This is a scarab. And he's got this key, and all these things are numbered, and there ain't nothing there. And then along with it, he has a picture of a prayer rug. I said, Jesus Christ. I said, so I called the guy up. No, he called me up. He said, what do you think? I said, hey, buddy, ain't nothing there. I said, what's the prayer rug for? He said, look, this is going over to the Palestinians, and I figure the Palestinians won't let us dig, but you give this to Chairman Arafat as a bribe, and then he says, and then he'll give us a permit, and then we dig, and then we split 50-50. I never heard from him after that. Sent the stuff back. But anyway, that was a guy was from Texas, I know, but the way of Hungary. But yeah, that's some of the people that we run into in this whole world, But we ever see it in Jordan? You ever go see it?
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty disappointing.
Oh, I love it.
This one doesn't smell.
The big thing would be the temple. But in both of these caves, lots of other things are found. But though, Cave 4's got everything, and Cave 1 really, I think Cave 1 is the most valuable. And you think the best copy of the community rule, the best copy of the back of the book, the best copy of the Masses, or what in it,
I didn't have any
but Isaiah. Okay,
All right.
So that's incredible valuable. I mean, just studying those, you can almost get the
Me.
I know, yeah. No, I'm sure I'm for you, Ding.
Isn't that cool?
Can't key auto shit in Shama.
I mean,
Yeah. Oh, say Kev. Hindi bigam Sheila Yakari Town, okay?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, bye.